When you're weary and feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side when times get rough and friends just can't be found. Those words have quite literally been haunting my brain this week, as like so many of you, I have witnessed the images from the tragic flooding in Texas. It's actually difficult for me, I'm sure for many of you as well, to follow the news because I just cannot shake the sad thoughts that have settled into my psyche. Of course, every natural disaster feels this way, but somehow this one, whose victims include innocent children from Camp Mystic and others who were vacationing with their families when they were swept away, this one somehow feels horrible. And I just want to say, make as much noise as you want. I mean it. The voices of children make us smile. It's exactly what we need. But I'll tell you, for me, it's also maybe exacerbated a bit by my own personal fears, my thoughts about what might happen to my family. But somehow, this particular week, this one feels different. And I think Rabbi Kaluzny mentioned it earlier in her beautiful introduction to the Mich. I think the reason it feels different is because water is actually supposed to be life-sustaining, not life-threatening. And there is actually a growing and robust body of scientific research that shows that water and water-based environments have significant positive effects on us, on our mental health. There's actually one study at UC Davis that found that people who just looked at water, such as pools or streams or ponds, had lowered blood pressure and heart rates. That's why we wanted to be outside today in our Lefkowski pavilion looking at the beautiful pond. I think it's why that pavilion seems so incredible. There's another researcher who posits what is called the blue mind theory. And he suggests that there is research that says that being in or merely near water can induce a semi-meditative state. It can boost our happiness, our focus, and our connectedness. It can reduce our stress. And in Jewish tradition, too, water is life-affirming. The mikveh, the pool of mayim chayim, or naturally flowing God-given water, has the power to transform us. And the experience of going to the mikveh moves us from one state to another, from impure to pure, from Jewish, not Jewish to Jewish, from sickness to health. In the ancient world, in the great miracle of the Bible, our people literally walked through the splitting sea from slavery to freedom, and they were changed forever on a journey to the promised land. But in last week's Torah portion, we see another side and some of the pitfalls of our deep connection to these living waters. Because while wandering in the wilderness, Miriam's well miraculously accompanied our ancestors, providing water at every stop. But towards the end of their journey, the entire congregation of Israel arrived at one place called the desert of Tzin, and the people settled in a town called Kadesh, and Miriam died, and with her, her well of living waters dried up. Now, what do you think was the first and immediate reaction of our ancestors, the Israelites? They complained. They looked at Moses and they said, what has happened? Because without the gift of water, they suggested maybe slavery would have been better. They blame Moses and Aaron for being bad leaders who brought them to that dry and foreboding place. And then you may remember what comes next. God tells Moses to speak to the rock and elicit water from it with divine intervention. But Moses takes matters into his own hands, and he uses that situation to gain political and societal control. He strikes that rock and is punished by God, told that he would never enter the promised land. Sadly, this week, I felt that story playing out again. That ancient story is reflected in the wake of the modern tragedy. Because immediately after the shock of the Texas floods, after those initial rescue missions, the finger pointing and the blaming began. Rather than focusing only on the grief of the victims and their families, rather than highlighting the heroes, the conversation shifted quickly to a lack of funding, misguided political leadership, and the assignment of blame. And that is not what should have happened. That is not the best course of action. That is certainly not the most Jewishly appropriate reaction. And while it may feel easier sometimes to point a finger, wouldn't it be better to raise up those who are helping to put other people's lives back together? In our own world, isn't it healthier to ask, what can I do, rather than asking, who else is at fault? Consider this old parable of a man. Weary from a long journey, he reaches a deep and rushing canyon. Late in the day, he navigates the narrow, perilous path from one side to the other, and he makes his way across. But instead of resting on the other side, he immediately begins to build a bridge across the gap. Soon, a younger traveler, fresh and strong with great energy, comes to him and says, "Old man, why are you working so hard? You have already crossed the dangerous chasm. You'll never pass that way again. Why waste your strength to build a bridge here?" The old man, wiping his sweat from his own brow, looks up and says, "I came this way, but after me there are other people coming, innocent and unsuspecting. They might not know the way. The canyon troubled me, but it might be for them their death. So I am building this bridge that they can cross after me in future generations." And the story reminds us that our purpose here isn't just about navigating our own troubles. It isn't certainly about assigning blame to people who are responsible for other issues. It's about recognizing these pitfalls for others, for people who are struggling, and choosing to lay down a bridge, whether it's through kindness or our resources or our active service, so that others may journey justly from heartache to promise. Obviously, it will be clearer soon in Texas exactly what is needed, and we will be there to make sure to help. But closer to home today, we already know exactly how to act. To our friends, to our family, in our community, we should be kind. We should be generous. We should be the best version of ourselves. Because acts of service mean more than acts of complaining. We can focus on solutions rather than grievances. In the simplest terms, just do more and complain less, and this will be a better world. And all of this is captured first in the words of Paul Simon, but now in this beautiful lyric from our former Zipser artist in residence, Jacob Spike Krause. His song is called "Well Up Like Waters." We should learn from the healing powers of the river to make our way over the troubled waters of life. On this Shabbat, may we all, from Texas to Temple Israel, journey justly from sadness to service in building a more perfect world.